Yeah, we haven't had the first practice of the year that your team's on the ice together, so it's better late than never. Special teams day, so there's not a lot of contact, not a lot of five-man moving, but it was a good day for where we're at. Matthew looked like Matthew; he looked fine, but it wasn't a heavy enough day or from a duration point of view long enough to make a game assessment on him. We'll see how he comes back in tomorrow, and then put the whole group back on the ice on Monday.
Coach, we've seen Mackie Samoskevich experience so much growth this season as a player. What excites you most about where his game is now and how it could translate to the playoffs?
Oh, I can yell at him now, right? So at first you can't yell at him, and because before you hold anybody accountable to a standard, they have to understand the standard. And I'm not just talking about compete standard. I mean your systems, all the reads that you've got to make. They have to learn all of this, and it takes young players. I think when you work from your net out, it takes the goalies the longest, then the defensemen, and the forwards, I think, can make up for some mistakes just on energy and people behind them. So he's got himself to a point that I don't have to be careful with him anymore. He understands what we're doing. And I'm excited for him because it feels like he's been with us because he was with us last year in that run, and then he's come in, and to his credit, he's handled every situation. He handled it like a great pro. He started on the fourth line. And yeah, we've got some depth, but for most of these young, really skilled players, they come in and play in the top two or three, and they get their chance, and it falls off and comes back. He wasn't given that here. He started on the fourth line. He had to get some of the hard things done first, and then he kind of just slowly worked his way up. And then the next one will be the emotions of the playoffs and the intensity of the playoffs. And there'll be a bunch of guys that move around over the course of it, right? They play left wing, they play right wing, they get on a different line. It goes to kind of the very first question, what's it like when you get all these guys out there? There's still some unknowns. I've got 4 periods of Samoskevich, Bennett, and Tkachuk playing together this year, and it was really, really good. Now it goes into a playoff atmosphere, so we'll learn.
Paul, 2 questions. First, to follow up on Jeff's question about Mackie, just him being with you guys during the playoff runs and watching it and being part of practice, what do you think or what do you hope he was able to learn from that as he goes into playing in the playoffs with you guys for the first time?
Well, the first is the work that gets done when you're not on the main roster. You skate and you train hard every day, and you're not always, and it gets to be long. That's 2 months of going to the gym and skating every second day. It can be a challenge, and there are guys that will excel in that, and there's guys who kind of flatline in that, and they're kind of waiting for their summer to start. But he used that time, and I mean, he was physically looked considerably different at the end of the 2 months than at the start. He put on some mass. He's a young guy, right? You're lifting every day, you're training every day. He changed his body type, which is a really good sign for us. And then when he came to training camp this year, everybody knew him, and he knew everybody. Maybe that's more importantly. Young players come in their first training camps, they burn an awful lot of anxiety, energy, right? Everybody got to be good today. That's it, just in practice. The veteran guys are warming up. They're going to go hard, but they're not concerned about the 2 passes they missed. So we hope that he kind of got through that without as much anxiety and could just play. And we think that's what happened, and that gave him the chance to be where he is today.
And then just secondly, with the forward depth overall, we've talked about it since the trades. When you have a guy like Evan Rodriguez, who was a top liner for you during the playoffs, and now it's looking like he's probably going to be a fourth liner, just what that says about the depth you have, and also with Evan himself, just his ability to move up and down when you need him to.
I believe he was our leading scorer in the Edmonton series, right? And it's happened this year a number of times that he ended up on the fourth line, just giving, Mackie comes in and got a little more ice time. When you move somebody up, somebody has to come down. He just handled it so well. And his game didn't fall off. As a matter of fact, it got to be, you do have to adapt your style of play with the people that you play with and who you're playing against, and he's really good at that. It should absolutely be an advantage to our team. He's not a fourth line player, but we have guys in their teens and close to their teens and goal scoring there, and he won't stay there. He's just over, what do you got? Somewhere between 4 and 28 games you're going to play. the longer it goes, the far more likely that he's on a power play unit. We use him to kill penalties. He may end up playing center for us. So he's not there. The longer he stays there, the better it is, because it tells you, one, you're having success, and he's a big part of that. We're not just getting through the shift when he's out there. We're expecting to, we're looking for an advantage.
I mean, when Matthew comes back, it's going to be the first time you have Brad, Marchand, and Sam Bennett and him in the same lineup. I mean, how fun is it going to be the coach of a team that has so many players that have a reputation for playing this physical style of hockey that maybe not so many people like to play against? Or
it's interesting the impact they have. I mean, I think we have a fairly defined style of game. And the players that we bring in, part of the reason why we bring them in is that we believe they can play that style of game. And those players should. The Marchand one especially, what I'm interested in is the impact that we're seeing with Lundell and Luosterainen. And it's not a physicality impact, it's a make-and-play skill impact. That those two guys look at it, you're excited, you've got a guy with that many points on your right wing, something's going to happen here, something good. So we can play on both sides of the puck. We're not just grinding through a shift and to try not give anything up. There's more. So I think those players can have a really positive impact on their line mates.
I know we've talked about Seth Jones only being here 25 games, not even 20 games, whatever it's been. You've got him with Forsling, I guess, to start. He's played with everybody on your defensive pairings. Has that helped him, do you think, having to do that with Aaron out?
He plays such a, he's a big minute man, and because of that you end up playing with a lot of different people, and then our injuries and our the guys that we sat out. That pairing is as big a function of Kulikov and Mikula have played very, very well together. So we want those two guys going back together as a starting point, and then we'll make adjustments if we stay healthy and Aaron comes back into our lineup. Different reps with different players. You play with a different player, it changes what you see. So what we're able to do, and had we not been so banged up going into our last game, I probably would have pulled him from the last game. It was 9-15. He had played enough, but you get a better crash course in our systems when you're playing with different people, because it forces different looks. So you don't end up, the idea would be you have two players that completely rely on each other and you know exactly what's going to happen next. And then you get into a real nice, consistent rhythm. This is the way the game's going to be played. I'm going to put the puck. When I get it here, he's going to be there. All those kind of things. But when you don't have that, you're constantly reading the game and making an assessment. So that potential confusion is really good for a veteran player, because they see as many different looks as they can and they'll process it faster.
Your fourth line's always important, but it really showed last year against Tampa Bay. I think it was game 3 or 4 where those guys really came together. Any concern that with Rodriguez and those guys hadn't played together, that fourth line,
No.
a whole lot?
No, the Lorenz tip goal against Tampa in the slot, and in Game 7 he wasn't in the lineup, so that's a function of that job. There will always be different people there, and this is actually hyper consistent with what Roddy's experience was this year, right? He's played with Barkov, he's played with Bennett, he's played with Lundell, and he's played on our fourth line. So it's not the first time he's done this. Adam Bolquist has played in that hole. That's where Stern plays. It's where these guys are used to playing.
Coach, I just want to ask, a couple guys obviously went back down to the A a couple days ago, but Jacob Magna is still here. Kind of feels like he's a part of the main group now. Just what makes him valuable to have around this time of year for the playoff group?
Well, I'm really lucky that we got him in some games. That's the positive, the silver lining of the injuries and the players out of your back end, because we feel that we understand his game. A big part is I got to have a pretty good idea what's going to happen if I put you on the ice, your process, how you work. So playing all those games was great for him. And he seemed to be the guy that fits right in style of play. So he gets to stay.
Miami Heat won last night.
Yes.
Games 3 and 4. They'll be at the same time your games are.
Right.
You got the sports bar ready to rock?
Are we pulling it out this year? It just really, I mean, what does that entail? It's like an inflatable pool and like a keg. Is that what we're going with? Oh, yeah, all right. Let's start small, George, inflatable pool, then a six-pack. All right, we'll charge a lot for them, and then we'll just see if we can kind of let it grow, but we don't want to put an in-ground pool in just yet. Just patience.
Fun though, right, having both teams.
Sports in South Florida, been pretty exciting. My experience, anyway, there's lots of stuff going on, and that's great for the fans. It's the right time of year. Get to be about 95, and there's basketball and hockey. What else is there? Okay, guys.